Hello friends, welcome back. I am Rajneesh and the session is about understanding the Yum repository. So what exactly is the Yum repository? It is synonym for Yellow Dog Update Manager. What it does for the it can be used for the installation of packages and the installation of packages. The beauty of Yum is if you are trying to install a package and it has 10 dependencies, it will resolve those dependencies and will install the packages that are required by the package that you are installing. For example, in case you are trying to install Vim, it has the dependency on Perl, so Perl will also be installed and you need not specify it explicitly. So and Yum is a collection of packages. I'll demonstrate you how it works. So I'm in the folder sorry I'm in the folder /etc yum.repos.d. This folder consists of some files that end with .repo. These are the files that are used by Yum to identify that this is a repository file, and it fetches out the ID and other details from the repository. For example, there is a command yum repo list which will list all the repositories that are present on this particular machine, or all the repositories that this particular machine will try to fetch the packages from. Right now you can see that it has 1, 2 and 3 repositories which are enabled. One is base, one is extra, and one it updates. And here you can see that the files are 4. The reason being, some of the repositories may not be enabled. I'll show you. CentOS media.repo. This repository is corresponding to the DVD. If you see to the attribute enabled, it says enabled equal to 0, which means that this repository is not enabled. The ID of the repository is C6 media. Here you cannot see C6 media. The reason being it's not enabled. If I just mark enabled equal to 1 and type yum repo list, it is going to display one more repository, which is repo ID is C6 media. So right now if I try to install some package, it will try to fetch the packages from any of these repositories, whichever is having the latest version of that package. So let us consider the scenario when I don't have access to the internet and I have a static repository which is present on FTP, HTTP or NFS partition. So first thing that we need to do is I need to move CentOS base, extras and updates to some different folder. For that I create a folder disabled and I move star.repo to disabled, and if I type yum repo list, I'll see that it has none of the repositories because CentOS base media CentOS base, extras and updates fetch the details from the internet. I want to get them disabled. So let me get the repository corresponding to my media. You can just copy it to the folder yum.repos.d. Now I have only one file, CentOS media.repo. If you want, you can change the name of this to anything which you want, but it should not consist of spaces in between. This is the name of the repository. The most important thing is base URL. This is the location where you have the yum repository present, or where you have the packages. GPG check says check whether the package is verified or not, whether the package has been signed by a key which is present on this server. In case GPG check is enabled and the package is not verified, it won't be installed on the server. We should enable GPG check, the reason being only the authenticated packages signed by a proper key could be installed on the server. Enabled means whether to enable this repository or not, whether to download the packages from it or not. GPG key file, the location of the file where the GPG key is present. So it is going to match the key for the key present in this file. So here were the parameters. So I just type the command yum repo list once again. Okay, sorry. So I type the command yum repo list, and here I can see that there is one repository C6 media, and the status is that it has around 6,346 packages. Okay, so one thing that we'll do is I'll show you. The file is CentOS media.repo, and it says that my base URL is /media, which means that my repository should be mounted at media. Now I have dev cd-rom as a device which I need to mount at media. I hope all of you know, if I try to mount a particular device, first one is the source, which is dev cd-rom, and the destination is /media. The folder, destination folder, should be blank. So what it does is it has mounted dev cd-rom on /media. If you type the command df-h disk free -human readable, you'll see that media is mounted. It's around 4 gigs. Let's try to explore /media. Here you can see there is one folder which is repo data, which consists of the details about the repository. It has some xml.gzip files, repomd.xml. So basically it has the information about the repository, what all packages are present in it, where they are present, and other details. So it has multiple folders inside it. Images and packages is the folder that will actually consist of these packages, and here you can see all the packages. So we have enabled the repository of DVD, and now if you want to install, you can install any package on it. Okay, other question. The best option is to copy this repository to a particular folder and get it available anytime. The other option that I'm using, because of the lack of disk space, is I'll be mounting the CD drive every time the system is booted, and that will be accessible through media folder. So to mount a file system or to mount a device every time a system boots, we will have to enter its details in /etc tab. So etc tab is file system tab, which consists of the details of which device is to be mounted where, with what mount options, and what is the file system. For example, if we talk about this disk or this partition, UUID is universal unique identification of a device. This is always unique. So this is my partition, boot partition. So UUID is unique ID of it. This is the destination where it is to be mounted. Then the type of file system, it's ext4. The mount options, whether you want to mount with no exec, means in case the file system is mounted with no exec option, none of the files present inside it will be executed. And there are some more options that will be a separate section to explain it. Okay, so what my objective was to mount dev cd-rom every time the system is booted up. So the source is dev cd-rom, the destination is media, and the type of file system for DVD or CD is ISO 9660. Options, we can set them as defaults, and the final options are the dump and fsck. Okay, we'll have a separate chapter for that. Right now we save and quit. Now every time the machine is rebooted, this media partition will always be mounted. Let me try to make sure that I have proper entries. Mount slash media. Okay, so my entry is fine and it will be available on the next reboot. Okay, so yum repository has been enabled, and right now I can install any package from it. Yumlist is a command that is going to display you a list of all the packages that are either installed or present on any of the repositories that is configured on this particular server. So this is the process that we have used to configure a repository on the local server. Now the second part of it will be to make this repository accessible to all the other servers in my environment. So what approach I am using is I am going to configure Apache or HTTP server and will export the repository with HTTP protocol. Let us see how. So first thing that we will be required to do is we need to install Apache. Yum install httpd. Now you can see that I was installing Apache, but it's installing few more packages: APR, APR util, APR util LDAP, and because these are the dependencies of httpd. In case you are trying to install with rpm-ivh and then httpd.rpm, it'll fail because the dependencies are not yet installed. So it's asking me, is it okay? It's okay to me. Just press Y. And now HTTPD is installed. So first thing that we need to do after installing any service is chkconfig service name on, and uh, okay, other part is I am going to configure Apache so that it is going to export this repository through the URL, which will be infra.labs.local slash let's make it CentOS 6. Let's make it CentOS 63, which says CentOS 6.3. Okay, so to configure Apache for it, we are going to modify the configuration file related to Apache, which is /etc httpd conf httpd.conf. So we can use the directive alias for it. Alias sent OS 63, it goes to /media, and I just write and quit. I just restart the service and chkconfig service name on. So the service was started successfully. curl http, just to make sure that Apache is working fine and I am able to see the details with CentOS 63. http localhost CentOS 63. So it says moved permanently, port 80. Okay, tables -l -n. First thing that we should do is, as it is going to work as an Apache server for my environment, I can allow Apache to have access from my environment. So IP tables -I input, insert a rule at number 1 in the input chain, -p protocol TCP, -d port destination port 80, -s 192.168.1.0/24, which is my LAN, -j accept. And every time you do a modification on IP tables, make sure that you run service IP tables save. Okay, let me try to open it now. What's the IP address of this machine is 205. HTTP 192.168.1.205. I am able to access it. The other part is CentOS 63. You don't have permissions to access CentOS 63 on this server. It's forbidden. I know what the reason is. The reason is SC Linux is not allowing access to /media folder. One option is SE status, it shows that it's in enforcing mode. Just to make sure that it's SC Linux only, first thing that you can do is, if you see to var log audit audit.log, you can see that this was a syscall. It succeeded. Okay, wait. Didn't refresh. One thing we do is set enforce 0, which moves the SC Linux in permissive mode. So okay, the issue is still there. Let me see in Apache logs. Var log httpd error log, and it says directory index forbidden on slash media. So we got the reason. Now we move to slash etc httpd conf httpd.conf. So directory index was not allowed. We will create a section corresponding to directory, or we can just copy any section, for example this one, move at the bottom, paste it. On directory media options, indexes, this is the main thing that we need. Slash etc init.d httpd reload. Now it supports indexes, and now if we try to open this URL, it's able to display us the complete repository, and you can see what all packages are present inside it. So with this, we have completely set up a repository which will be present on 192.168.1.204 slash CentOS 63. How do we make sure that it works? We will just disable the repository for C6 media, and create a new repository for our labs environment, labs.repo. So first thing is repo ID, we make it infra repo. Second is name, which say labs local repository. For CentOS 6.3, base URL will be file slash media. Make sure that these are 3 slashes. File colon slash slash sets the protocol that we have to use is file protocol, and slash media says the location. Other part is gpg check, and the final thing that we need to do is enabled equal to 1. Even in case we set enabled equal to 0, even in case we don't place the variable enabled, by default that repository is enabled. Yum repo list. Now we can see that infra repo is a new repository which is present and which is accessible to this server. Now I just reboot this server to make sure that this repository will be accessible even after the server is rebooted. And now the server is rebooting. Okay, I'm not going to modify anything, and I did just open this page. And the other thing that I could do is yum repo list. I can see that it has only one repository, which is infra repo. If I type the command yumlist, it is going to display me all the packages present inside the repository infra repo. So in this chapter we have configured yum repository on the server and exported the yum repository to be available to any machine inside our network with the URL http 192.168.1.205 slash CentOS 63. I think you might have been able to understood it. If not, I'll be waiting for your replies. I'll be waiting for your responses how to improve the videos. Thanks for viewing the video. Have a good day.